George.
Es lo único que puedo decir y es lo que está presente.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Well, friends, here we are in another class. Let's begin by checking the homework as always. And you know, the homework this time was dealing with reading comprehension, something that worries me a lot because normally the result of reading comprehension in your exams are not as good as they should be. Is it reading a neglected skill, something that we teachers are not insisting on? I don't know. But I'm trying to, you know, overcome this situation by practicing reading always in homeworks, because reading takes time. You have to take the dictionaries, you have to read everything, and it takes time. It takes time. In the exams, according to Cambridge, the results in Spain, principally in Spain, the results are not good. That's why reading comprehension is so important for me, because I need to prepare you for this. I've been revising your final writings, you know, the review from unit number 10, and the results have been very good. Thank you. Thank you for the reviews that you have written. I always send you back these written works with some notes that I copy in the piece of paper you sent me, and I need you to read and understand my notes. Sometimes you forget the title, sometimes you write headings in a review, and headings are not necessary. The headings are for the report, not for the review. And these are little details, but they are important because they are reducing and reducing and reducing your final mark. And I want you to get the best mark possible in all aspects of English, not only in writing, but in everything. Well, let's begin checking the homework. Let's go to page 120 and let's check the homework. Page 100 and what? 20. Let's try to find it. This one here. The first part of the homework is exercise 1, reading and use of English, page 120. There are 2 questions, right? And the homework was to prepare to answer orally these 2 questions. What attracts young people to become doctors? I don't know. I never wanted to study medicine, but many young people would like to be doctors, physicians. What attracts young people to become doctors? Do you have any idea? Have you thought about it? Do you have an opinion about this? Short opinion or long opinion?
Hi, I am Prado.
Hi, Maria. How are you, friend?
Well, and you? Fine, and you?
Fine. Very well. Thank you, Maria.
Okay. Well, I think the young people to become doctor because they like to cure the people.
Yes.
Or to research on disease and their cures, for example.
Yes, good, very good. There is a verb that we use a lot when we speak about medical service, and it is to assist. Assist, yes, to assist people, to cure people, to treat patients, to heal. The verb that we studied last class, to heal people. Cure is when you have a disease, and to heal is when you have a hurt or injuries in accidents and things like that. Thank you, Maria del Prado. Thank you very much. The other question is, how do you think studying medicine might be different from studying other subjects at university, for example, engineering or architecture or pedagogy or anything. What could be, or what might be the difference, if there is any? Because maybe you think if there is no difference at all. Opinions?
Hi, Jerry.
Yes?
I'm Alex. I think studying medicine is different because it's a subject that is updating every day, and it's about researching new medicines for new diseases and investigating and something like that.
Yes, yes, you are right, Alex. In the text, you know, in the text that you have now in front of you, what's it like to study medicine? They speak about the large amount of things that you have to memorize when you study medicine. Because you have to study, imagine, physiology, anatomy, pathology, biochemistry. You have to study a lot of things, and you have to memorize many of them. It is impossible all of them, but most of them, because the lives of people depends on that, on how well you remember things you studied when you were at the university, how much you are able to memorize about the little details of everything, because the life of the patient depends on that. So memory is one of the things that doctors need to have when they study medicine. Now, the other part of the homework was exercise number 4, page 121. Next page. Here. Exercise 4. This exercise here. Choose from the sentences A to G the one which fits each gap, 1 to 6. And they say that there is one extra sentence which you don't need to use. Right, so let's check the homework. In number 1, could you write in the chat your answer? What is the letter? Well, for Jose is letter G. And for Maria del Prado is G. And the rest? Alex G. Thank you very much. Gemma G and Celia G. Excellent. G is the correct answer. In number 2, Gemma A, Maria del Prado A, Alex A, and Celia is A, and Jose. A is correct. So number 1, G, number 2, A. And number 3, F for Jose, F for Maria del Prado and Alex. Very good, friends. F is the correct answer in number 3. In number 4, C for Alex, D for Maria del Prado, C for Jose Luis, and C for Gemma and Celia. Very good. In number 4, C is the correct answer. What about 5? Number 5. B for Jose, B for Alex, and Celia E, Gemma E. Well, in number 5, the letter is B. 5, B. 6, what about 6? D for Jose, D for Alex, D for Gemma, and for Celia is letter B. Okay, friends, in number 6 and B for Celia. D and B, my God. So it is letter D. In number 6 is letter D. According to Cambridge, doesn't matter, Celia, that's okay. According to Cambridge, number 1 is G, number 2 is A, number 3 is F, number 4 is C, number 5 is B, and finally number 6 is letter D. What a problematic exercise, yes or no? Reading comprehension is troublesome. So we need to insist and insist, train and train, etc. But now let's go to the listening that we didn't finish last class. Last class we were working on the listening exercise, page 119. Here, page 119, listening. And we did exercise 2 here in class. In class, we arrive at the conclusion that cure is letter G, diagnose is letter D, examination is F, heal is H, prescribe is C, sick note is B, surgeries is I, treat is E, and vaccination is A. And what is the importance of this? What is the importance of knowing cure, diagnose? Because they are going to mention all these words in the listening. And the book wanted you to be prepared for this moment. So when you hear the people mentioning cure or surgery, you know what they are speaking about. You know exactly what they refer to. And now, going on or moving on to exercise 4, listening again, listen again, blah, blah, blah. That is what we are going to do now. We are going to listen to the people speaking. They are 5 speakers, and you have to match the speaker with one of the letters. And I always insist, don't expect the speaker to mention exactly these words. For example, G, I agreed with the doctor's diagnosis. Don't expect people to say exactly this, but more or less, with other words, but the same meaning. A, I wasn't given enough attention by the doctor at first. The person is not going to say this exactly. Observe that number 1 is in passive voice. I wasn't given, no se me dio. I can change that. The doctor didn't give me, you see, this is the active voice. The doctor didn't give enough attention to me, active. Or passive, I wasn't given enough attention by the doctor at first, etc. At first, at the beginning, at first. Well, good. Let's do the listening. I'm going to attach the listening to the chat so you can hear it just in a minute. You read the questions, please, the sentences, sorry, A, B, C, in case you don't understand something. And here we go. Well, this is only one repetition, and you know that in the exam, you can use 2 repetitions. I sent you this audio by WhatsApp group. So now you are going to take your WhatsApp group, you are going to repeat this audio as many times as you need, right? But please send me a message when you are ready to check the answers. Laura, remember you can repeat it as many times as you need. Celia finished. Alex finished. Very good. And Gemma, Maria del Prado, and Jose. Thank you very much, friends. Let's see. What is your opinion about speaker one? What do you think is the right letter? G for Jose, D for Alex, G for Gemma. For Celia is letter G. And the answer is G. G is correct. I agreed with the doctor's diagnosis. So number one is letter G. Let's see speaker two. E for Alex, C for Gemma, E for Jose. For Celia is E and Maria del Prado C. Well, speaker two is letter E. I feel better after the visit. There are five. You need three correct answers, right? Speaker three, what's your opinion? What letter? C for Jose, C for Gemma. For Celia is C. Okay, C is correct. I was irritated by what the doctor said. Now let's go to speaker four. A for Gemma. A for Alex. For Maria del Prado, A. And for Jose, A. Very good. A is the answer. I wasn't giving enough attention by the doctors at first. The final one, speaker five. What's your opinion, speaker five? B for Alex, B for Gemma, B for Celia, and Jose. B for everybody. Yes, speaker five, letter B. I was told by the doctor that I needed to relax. So number one is G, number two is E, number three is C, number four is A, and finally number five is letter B. Correct. Listening. This is the listening part. Now, there is, friends, a vocabulary that these people in the listening, they use certain expressions that we have to study together. They are called idiomatic expressions. And next exercise is based on the listening. That is the expressions people use, speaker 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, expressions they use during their conversation. Let's go to page 121, page 121, vocabulary exercise. Here, vocabulary exercise or idiomatic expressions. It's important to be able to guess, adivinar, to guess the meaning of idiomatic expression from the context. Match the highlighted resaltados. Match the highlighted expressions 1 to 7 in this extract from Reading and Use of English Part 6 and Listening Part 3 with their definitions AG below. Of course, you don't have to guess. You can use your dictionaries or translators if you want, because you are at home. So you have, for example, to find the meaning of, in number one, rubbed shoulders with. To understand the expression, you have to read the complete sentence. I had the opportunity to work in laboratories where I rubbed shoulders with Nobel Prize winners. And then, what is the most adequate expression? A, B, C, D, etc. Right? This is the activity you have to do now. Help yourself using the translators or dictionaries. Alex finished. Laura finished. Celia finished. Well, observe that number one, rubbed shoulders with, is very similar to Spanish and not. We don't say that in Spanish. But what letter do you think it is? C for Alex, C for Jose, and C for Laura Diaz. C for Gemma. Very good, very good. Celia is C. Yes. Meet and spend time with. We don't say rub shoulders with. We say hombro con hombro. Well, and what about number two? Codo. It's codo, Jose. Codo con codo. Yes, codo con codo. Thank you, Jose. Number two, rush off their feet. A for Laura Diaz, A for Alex, A for Jose. Very good, very good. And for Gemma, yes, very good. Be very busy, Celia, very good. A is rush off their feet. And what about three? Being thrown in at the deep end. Letter D for Laura Diaz, letter D for Alex and Jose. Yes, yes, Gemma, D, very good. D, start something new or difficult without help or preparation. That is being thrown into the deep. In Spanish, lanzarse al vacío, something like that. Now, number four, feeling a bit of color. What letter? B for Alex. And B for Laura Diaz. B for Celia. Yes, friends, B, feel slightly ill. Not very, but slightly ill. That is feeling a bit of color. We don't have that expression, I think. No, we don't have that. Five, get to the bottom of it. E for Alex. E for Laura Diaz. E for Celia. And for Jose, yes, E, discover the truth about a situation. 6, feeling very under the weather. F for Laura Diaz, F for Alex, F for Celia. Very good, friends. F, feel ill. Finally, number 7, taken aback. Yes, G for Laura, G for Alex, G for Jose. Very good. Because G is surprise or shock someone so much that they don't know how to behave for some times. Yes. In Spanish, something like sorprendido, etc., you know. In Spain, flipar. Alucinado, but Jose, in Spain, what is your expression? Flipar. Okay, good. Very good. Yes, Jose, that is. I was taken aback. Me quedé flipando. Well, friends, that is the idiomatic expression that we have to study in this lesson. And if now, at home, whenever you have a chance, if you repeat the listening, you will hear people using these expressions because they are very common. Very good. Now, I want you to observe a video that illustrate everything about medicine and the relationship doctors and patients, etc. Give me a second. If I find it, because you know how slow I am. Interesting, yes or no? Because the important thing, apart from exams, use of English, apart from listening, the vocabulary of the topic that we are speaking about in this unit 11 is about health and illnesses and treatment and doctors and things like that. The vocabulary is essential. How is it possible that we study this unit 11 and my students don't know how to say the principal words? Because these can be very complex, like everything in life. But in general, this is the most important vocabulary that you need to speak about medical problems, etc. There is something we use a lot when we speak about our medical problems, and these are the relative pronouns and the relative clauses. But I don't know if you remember this. Does any one of you, friends, remember what a relative pronoun or relative clause is? Do you remember when you studied this in high school or secondary school? Relative clauses, relative pronouns. Let me tell you something because you don't remember. When I want to modify something, a noun, I want to say something more about a person or a house or a car or an animal, I use adjectives. We say the high building, the tall man, the pretty woman, the cozy house, etc. We use adjectives. And sometimes we don't use adjectives. We use a group of words working as an adjective. When I say, for example, the woman who came yesterday to the office lives in Getafe. See that? I am telling you details about the woman who came yesterday to the office. It is not an adjective. I'm not telling you that the woman is tall or short or attractive or not, but I am telling you that she lives in Getafe. I am giving you this extra information. So this is a group of words. It's not an adjective. It's a group of words. Who lives in Getafe? You see, a group of words. But the initial word is is who. The initial word is who lives in Getafe. Who is a relative pronoun. So the name of this group of words, who lives in Getafe, is called relative because the initial element is a relative pronoun. The group of words is relative clause. Remember that clause is a short sentence. Who lives in Getafe is a relative clause because the initial element is who, and who is a relative pronoun. Maybe now you remember a little bit. I repeat, the woman who came, I am totally lost. The woman who lives in Getafe came to the office yesterday. The principal sentence is the woman came to the office yesterday, and the extra information is who lives in Getafe. Who is a relative pronoun. And maybe you remember that when I speak about things and animals, I don't use who, I use which. The building which we visited yesterday, which. Sometimes we can replace who for that, remember. The woman that lives in Getafe came to the office yesterday. You can replace, substitute who for which, or, who for that or which for that. So now we have three relative pronouns, who, which, and that. Not always I speak about people or things. Sometimes we speak about places, where. Sometimes we speak about time, when. Sometimes we speak about possessions, whose. These are the principal relative pronouns. I repeat then, who, which, that, when, where, whom, whose. Okay, relative pronouns. And relative clause is the group of words. Who lives in Getafe? I'm going to show you a chart that maybe helps you to remember the relative clauses and relative pronouns. Just a second. Relative clauses. Observe and read. And maybe now you remember. It is used to give extra information about the nouns in the main clause without starting another sentence. A relative clause starts with a relative pronoun, you see? And then you have the list of relative pronouns. Who, that. Thank you, Celia. It can be easy, but if you don't understand at first, it can be a tragedy later. The relative pronouns are who, that, which, that, where, when, whose. Who, that, subject or object pronoun for people. Yes, when I speak about people. And you have an example. That's the woman is a person. That's the woman who bought my house. I can use that. That's the woman that bought my house. Which or that subject or object pronouns for animals or things. The horse which, you see, because horse is not a person, which Mary was riding is very friendly and beautiful. Where is for place, refers to a place. Observe the example. We found the wood where I used to go. When refers to a time expression. I will never forget the day is time, when I graduated. Whose, possession for people, animals, and things. No distinction here, is possession. In Spanish, cuyo, cuya, cuyos, cuyas. Whose. The mother whose child is missing is very sad. I begin again. The first example, that's the woman who bought my house. The principal sentence is, that's the house. And the relative clause, the extra element is, who bought my house. I am giving you information about the woman. In the books, they divide this sentence into two short sentences. Number one is the main clause, which in Spanish is something like oración principal, main clause, that's the woman, and the relative clause, y la subordinada relativa, who bought my house. Observe the second example. The horse which Mary was riding is very friendly and beautiful. The main clause, the principal clause, the main clause, in the books they use main, no principal. The main clause is, the horse is very friendly and beautiful. Observe that in this example, the relative clause is inserted in medial position. This can create confusion in some students, so be careful with that. The relative clause is which Mary was writing. Whom is not very common nowadays, Jose. Es a quien in Spanish. And now we use who to. We use who and to at the end of the sentence. Can be de quien. So we use who and of at the end. Yes, who to. For example, when I use the preposition with, think of that, with in Spanish con, y yo quiero decir con quién, en cuanto uso with, después tiene que venir whom. This is the person with whom you have to speak tomorrow. I repeat the example, Jose. This is the person with whom you have to speak tomorrow. You can use with or to. Observe the example with to. This is the person to whom you have to speak tomorrow. So if you have a preposition, you have to use whom. But nowadays, at present times, we prefer to use who because whom is in disused. And we say, this is the person who you have to talk to. And we use to at the end, see that? With. This is the person who you have to talk to. See that? That's what we use nowadays. But I repeat, if you have to use who, but before who you have a preposition, you cannot use who. You have to replace who for whom, to whom, with whom, at whom, etc., etc. Now, what I was insisting on is that not always the relative clause is at the end. Sometimes the relative clause is in medial position, like in example number 2. The horse, which Mary was riding, is very friendly and beautiful. Observe the final example with whose. The mother whose child is missing is very sad. The main sentence is the mother is very sad. And now the relative clause whose child is missing is in medial position. Why? Do you think this is arbitrarily? No. It's because the relative clause has to be immediately after the antecedent. Right? De quién es el niño de la madre tiene que estar después de la madre y dividir la oración. Sentence number 2. The horse which bla bla bla. ¿Por qué va ahí? Porque lo que estaba montando Mary era el caballo, no era ni very, ni friendly, ni beautiful. Entonces tiene que ir inmediatamente después del antecedente, que es el caballo. In general, we are going to insert the relative clause in the correct position, which is always after the antecedent. Relative clauses. Questions? Dudas? Questions? Everything okay? You know that I sent you this chat to your WhatsApp group so you can watch it out, you can revise it, you can use it, you can analyze it at home. Things complicate sometimes. Relative clause can be very complicated sometimes. Not if you study relative clauses in secondary school or high school, but when you study first certificate in English, B2 level, things can get a little bit, not much, a little bit complicated. Let's see why I am telling you this. I'm going to attach another chart to facilitate the understanding of the possible problems of relative clauses. Read and analyze this other chart. Defining versus non-defining relative clauses. Oh my God, what is the problem? That relative clauses are divided into two principal groups. The defining, and the meaning of defining is essential, and the non-defining, which could be not very essential. Observe the examples. Let's analyze the defining, the red color. No commas. Interesting. Necessary information. So defining is necessary information. Essential to distinguish which things or person we are talking about. And you have an example. I call my brother who lives in Ontario. No comma. Between parentheses. It means that I have more than one brother, and I called the one that lives in Ontario, because the other one lives in Getafe, the other one lives in Fuenlabrada, but I called specifically the brother who lives in Ontario. So this information is essential, because if not, the listener, el que está escuchando, the listener can get confused, because I have 5 older brothers, and not all my brothers live in Ontario. Conclusion. The defining relative clauses are the relative clauses which are essential for the comprehension of my words. If I eliminate this relative clause, the person is not going to understand what I'm speaking about. If in this example, I eliminate who lives in Ontario and I said, I call my brother, the person speaking with me knows that I have 5 brothers, so he will think to himself, which brother? The brother living in Fuenlabrada, the brother living in Getafe, the brother living in Cádiz, or the brother living in Ontario, or the brother living in Honolulu. That's why defining relative clause cannot use commas, because they are necessary for the understanding. Do you understand? Say yes or no, and that is enough. If you don't understand, I repeat it. Do you understand? Yes, Laura, thank you, friend. Thank you, Alex. Very good, Celia. Thank you, friends. Gemma, thank you. Maria del Prado. If you don't, Jose, if you don't understand, be honest. No problem with that. I'm a teacher. I teach. Very good. So this is defining, which is the opposite of non-defining. Observe the blue color. It says between commas. Interesting. Between commas. It means I can eliminate this part. It's not necessary. Extra information not necessary to distinguish which thing or person we are talking about. Observe the example. My brother, comma, who lives in Ontario, comma, is older. Between parentheses, I have only one brother. And I'm just mentioning that he lives in Ontario. I am giving you some extra information, but it's not necessary, because I have only one brother, so there is no possible confusion. If I said, or if I mentioned that he lives in Ontario, it's because I want to tell you that. because I'm proud of my brother living in Ontario, or something like that. I don't know. But it's extra. You can eliminate this and everything is clear. My brother is older. Yes, Laura, I think it's the same in Spanish. Yes, you are right. But now, I go back to the red color defining, right? Go back, the second aspect. We can use that. We can use that. We can use that instead of who or which. It means that you can replace, substituir, who for that or which for that. We use who for people. We use which for things and animals. That's the mug. You see, a mug is not a person. How do you call mug in Spain? Tazón o ¿qué se dice? A mug. Jarra? I don't know. Jarra, okay. Taza, okay, very good. Well, taza no, Maria, because taza is a cup of coffee. So, it has a name. Yo he escuchado el nombre incluso, pero no recuerdo cómo le llaman en España. Jarra puede ser, pero jarra es muy grande. Tazón quizás, Laura. Yes, maybe tazón. Well, that is a mug. I repeat. That's the mug, which or that, you see, you can use that, which or that I bought in Paris. When the relative clause is defining, no commas, essential, necessary, like this example, you can replace which for that. There is another example with who. I didn't know the man who or that was there. Right? You can replace which for that, who for that, but only if the sentence is defining, no commas. On the other hand, in the blue color not defining, we cannot use that. And remember this, we cannot use that. That's very important because Cambridge is going to try to confuse you with these elements. When you see commas, I mean non-defining, not essential, not necessary commas, never replace who for that or which for that. The only options in the non-defining relative clauses, commas, is who for people and which for things and animals, and no more. That is never used in the non-defining relative clauses. And you have an example. These bikes, which cost a fortune, are made in Japan. The important thing is that these bikes are made in Japan, and the rest is non-necessary information, which cost a fortune. You cannot replace which for that in this example because you have the commas, it is non-defining. Is it clear up to here, friends? Do you understand? Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Maria del Prado and Celia. And Jose, do you understand? Yes, thank you very much, friend. Thank you very much. Alex, very good. And Gemma, very good. Well, and now, observe the final part. Relative pronouns can be omitted. Oh my God, beautiful. The relative pronouns who, which, that, can, nowhere, be careful, nowhere, where cannot be eliminated. No whom cannot be eliminated. No who, when cannot be eliminated. No whose cannot be eliminated. Only who, which, that can be omitted. We can omit who, which, or that when they are followed by the subject or plus verb. For example, do you like the sun, which, or that? And now you have I. You have I. When you have I, you, we, they. When you have proper nouns, Peter, George, or Mary, when you have common nouns, the girls, the boy, the student, the teacher, when you have this, you can eliminate who, which, or that. So in this case, in this example, you can say, do you like the song I wrote? Do you like the song I wrote? Very good. Because the relative clause is defining no commas, and because you have I after the relative pronoun, which or that or who. Observe the second example. That's the man who, that between parentheses, you can omit it. I like, because you have sorry. On the other hand, when you are using relative pronouns, non-defining relative clauses, relative pronouns cannot be omitted. We cannot omit who or which when the clause is non-defining, I mean commas. Observe the example. They introduced me to John, comma, who I liked immediately. In this example, you see the comma, and you cannot eliminate who. It doesn't matter that you have I. It doesn't matter. You cannot omit who when you speak about people. You cannot omit which when you speak about things if the relative clause is non-defining. And you know this because you see the commas immediately. Okay, friends. I don't know if I send you this second chart to you. Check it out. Have you received the second? Have you received this chart in your WhatsApp group? No. Okay, okay. I'm going to do it immediately, Maria. But immediately is immediately. Okay, Gemma, I'm sending this to you. What about now? Have you received it? Good, good. Very good, Alex, Celia, and Jose. Wow, immediately. Yes, Jose, immediately is immediately, friend. Very good. Now you have the chart, because you know what? My experience, my personal experience, in 10 minutes, we forget everything. Very good, Gemma. In 10 minutes, most people forget these elements, because now maybe you have to cook, or you have to clean the house, or you have to take the rubbish out, or you have to walk the dog, or something, and you forget. But you have it here. You have it in the WhatsApp group, so you revise it. Friends, you need to study, I don't know, half an hour every day of English in order not to forget. It's like studying medicine, you know, you need a great memory. With these elements that you have now in the WhatsApp group and you can revise every moment, we are going to do exercise number 1 on page 122. Let's go to the book. Exercise, I repeat, exercise 1 on page 122. Please, as soon as you finish, send me a message. Exercise 1, page 122. Very good. Very good. It says, compare these sentences from reading and use of English Part 6 by writing one word in the gap. In some cases, more than one answer may be possible. What did you write in number 1, friends? Who? Yes, Celia, Alex, Maria, Laura, who, Gemma, I don't know. Who, yes, Gemma, thank you. Very good, because in number 1 is who. Who is the correct word. And in number 2, Jose, which, Alex, who's, Maria, who's, Laura, who's, Celia, who's, Gemma, whose is the, no, Celia, no which, is whose. Whose is the adequate, cuyo título era, whose title was. Now, number 3. What do you think about 3? Alex which, Celia which, Laura which, Maria which, Gemma which, Jose which. Excellent, excellent. Yes, which is the adequate in number 3. And in number 4, friends, where for Alex, where for Gemma, where for Maria del Prado. Very good. Where is correct. Where. And in number 5, which or that for Laura, which or that for Jose, which or that for Maria del Prado, which for Celia, which for Gemma, which or that for Alex. Which or that is the perfect answer. You can use which or you can use that, right? Because it is defining, I don't see the comma, so it's defining relative clause, and in this case, you can use which because they are details, it's not people. Which, or you can use that. Exercise 2, friends, observe. Read these sentences which contains defining relative clauses, which contain non-defining relative clauses. Write a D for defining and D for non-defining after each sentence. If you observe carefully, it's very easy. Come on, let's do it. Very good. So in number 1, defining or non-defining, D or ND. D for Maria, D for Alex, D for Laura. Very good, very good. D for Gemma, yes. And D for Celia. Excellent. Defining. I don't see the commas, right? Number 2, Mrs. Altmeyer, who you met on the train, is a nurse. And D for Gemma, not defining. Not defining for Maria and for Laura. Alex, not defining. Celia, not defining. And Jose, not defining. Yes, yes, very good. And number 3, defining for Jose, defining for Maria and for Laura, defining for Celia, defining for Alex and Gemma. Yes, friends, it is defining. And number 4, Gemma defining, Jose defining, Maria del Prado defining. Very good, friends. Yes, it is defining. Laura defining, Celia defining, and Alex defining. Correct. You are correct. Very good. And now let's go to what? Number 5, I think. Number 5. No defining for Maria del Prado, no defining Alex, no defining Jose, no defining Gemma and Celia. Very good. No defining is the correct answer. What about 6? Defining for Jose, defining for Gemma, defining for Maria del Prado, defining for Alex, Laura Diaz defining, and Celia defining. Very good, friends. Well, when I see the commas, or I don't see the commas, for me it's very easy to say defining, not defining. No commas, defining. Commas, non defining. But you have to remember the rest of the rules. My question is, and you only have to write the number, 1, 2, 3, 4, only that, right? In which sentences from 1 to 6 could you use that instead of which or who? You please write the number of the sentences, the numbers only. I repeat, in which sentences from 1 to 6 above could you use that instead of which, instead of who? You only have to write the numbers of the sentences. 3, 4, and 6 for Laura. And nobody else? Nadie más? Nobody else? 3, 4, and 6, Alex. 3, 4, 5, and 6, Celia. There is a mistake here, Celia. Well, friends, correct. Correct, Laura. 3, 4, yes, Gemma. 3, 4, and 6. In 3, 4, and 6, we can replace who for that, which for that, because they are, remember, defining relative clauses, no commas, defining. So in these cases, you can replace who for that, which for that. The second question, in which sentence can you omit who or which? In which sentences, and you only have to write the number, in which sentences could you omit who or which? Two and 5 for Alex. 2 and 5 for Celia. 2 and 5 for Jose Luis. 3, 4, and 6 for Laura. 2 and 5 for Gemma. Well, only in 3 and 4. We need to revise this. Only in number 3. Let's everybody read number 3, observe number 3. The children who you've been talking to all go to the same school. Why can I omit who in number 3? Because number 1, I don't see commas, so it is defining. And secondly, because after who, we have you. So you is the subject of the relative clause, not who. I can eliminate who. And in number 4, have you still got the book which I lent you? Again, in number 4, I don't see commas. It is defining. And after which I have I. I is the subject of the relative clause. I don't need who. I can eliminate it. But in the rest, for example, in number 2, Mrs. Altmaier, I see the commas. This is not defining. Remember that in non-defining commas, I cannot eliminate who. I cannot replace who for that. So number 2, impossible. 6, students who eat a good breakfast often do better at school. This is defining, I don't see the comma, yes, but after who, I have the verb. So who is the subject of this group of words called relative clause. I cannot eliminate who because who is the subject. This is important, but don't worry because we will continue practicing this. The homework for next class is something that I'm going to send you. It is an extra exercise. Let's see if I can see it here. Give me a second. This is our homework for next class. Right? We are going to do this exercise for next class. We are going to do what? We are going to do, let me see if we can see it bigger. Well, yes. We have A, B, C, and D, 4 parts in which you are going to practice the relative pronouns and the relative clause very well. So, friends, thank you very much for your cooperation. See you next week. Bye-bye.